afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You have tuned into the Rebel News live stream on this, a Tuesday, July 12th, 2022. I'm David Menzies, and my co-host, well, let me tell you a little bit about my co-host. You know that today is National Paper Bag Day, and like me, she hates National Paper Bag Day because soon the Greta Thunberg acolytes are going to ban all plastic bags, and every day is going to be National Paper Bag Day. She is the she-devil with a sword. She is the Khaleesi of Northern Alberta. She is Sheila Gunn Reid. How you doing there?
David, you are so right that I hate paper bags with a deep, burning, visceral passion. I don't know if I look enormous on everybody else's feed, but I feel like I'm not framed in properly on my side. I feel like I'm just as big as David Menzies, and I'm normally half his size. So I am not to scale today, in case you're wondering. But yeah, I hate paper bags. I got one over the weekend when I was getting groceries, and I don't know how you carry it. Like I can bring in 10 bags, plastic bags, 5 on each arm. I can kick the door open to get into the house, but I can literally only carry maybe 2 paper bags because there's nowhere to grab them. Where do you grab them? And they are slippery and slidey. They're the worst.
I'm with you 100%, Sheila. And, when it comes to, the 3 R's of recycling, I think the number 1 R is reuse. And most people I know don't just get a plastic bag and throw it in the trash. You can put your gym stuff in there. If you have a dog, you can pick up the excrement with it and so on and so forth. I mean, like the LCBO was way ahead of this curve. It's something like 15 years ago. They got rid of their plastic bags, and those were the best plastic bags on the planet. Super thick because you were carrying around heavy bottles of alcohol that are very expensive. Yeah. I've always had a conspiracy theory, Sheila, on that. I think the LCBO went to paper because you put a couple of heavy bottles in a paper bag and it's maybe a little rainy, so it gets, a little softened. And guess what? Your bottle of scotch goes right down to the parking lot, and screw you, Menzies, no refunds. We're the liquor monopoly. So you're going to have to buy another one. I think that was the incentive for them getting rid of their superb packaging in the first place. What do you think about that, SGR?
It's the government. They do stupid things just to do stupid things, and they don't care if it inconveniences you. They don't. They don't even care. But also, it's the birthday of 2 fitness fanatics. One, Richard Simmons, and the other one, Brock Lesnar. Relocated to Saskatchewan, wherein he ranches now. Good for him.
Oh, is he permanently there? That's interesting. Who would you take in a wrestling match? Richard Simmons or Brock Lesnar?
Who would I take or could I take? Because I think I could take Richard Simmons. He's looking frail these days.
Yes.
But yeah, if I had to, Brock Lesnar for sure. It's also Cow Appreciation Day, and I'm a beef evangelist. And every day is Cow Appreciation Day for me.
Well, that's how I appreciate my cows when they're in between 2 sesame seed buns.
Lose the bun. Lose the bun. Now, Efron and Olivia, they're running a tight ship today.
Yeah, okay.
They have broken everything down into segments and by theme. I guess we're supposed to be trained broadcast professionals. And I don't think either one of us are. But we'll wing it. So I'll tell everybody what we're doing today,
sure,
and then we'll get into the news of the day, because there's a lot. Apparently, Justin Trudeau was mobbed by throngs of supporters. If you got all your news from the mainstream media, it happened again in Montreal. So this is the Rebel News Daily Live Stream. We are currently streaming on YouTube, but YouTube is a censorship platform, so we might have to cut the feed if we talk about dangerous ideas that are true, but just not something that YouTube thinks that you should be able to think about. So if we get to the red zone, we might cut the feed. But the good news is we are also simultaneously live streaming on Getter, but also Rumble and Odyssey. And the beauty of Rumble and Odyssey is that you can support the work that we do completely willingly and interact with us by sending us a paid chat. On Rumble, it's called a Rumble Rant. On Odyssey, it's called a Hyper Chat. And we will take your paid chats and read them on air. If you've got a question or a story idea, now's your chance to take the show in your own direction and, help us keep the tank full so that we can go on to broadcast another day.
Yes, and you referred to Trudeau in Calgary. That mobbing of fans, that's known as astroturfing, fake grass, fake grassroots supporters, which is what that was. That was, I understand, Sheila, it was in some parking lot, and it was secluded to Liberal Party of Canada supporters pretending to be random Calgarians. I mean, good golly, given the office situation in Calgary, where it's basically, I think there's more than a third of the space of the towers there. It's a ghost town. That might be...
This is my favorite. Throngs of admirers.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Trudeau, for putting me out of a job and putting me on EI or CERB for the rest of my life. Thank you, Mr. Trudeau, for entombing trillions of dollars of mineral wealth underground thanks to your oil and carbon and pipeline policies. That was outrageous. But from Trudeau in Calgary to a far friendlier territory, Montreal, where even the airport is named after Papa Trudeau, we had our beloved colleague, Alexa Lavoie.
Wait, before we get to Alexa, because Alexa's interactions with Trudeau and Trudeau's interactions with the public in Montreal are just part two of this story. So when he was being mobbed by throngs of supporters, as the mainstream media would have you believe, reality was a little bit different, because the media, not only are they liars, they're gaslighters. Somebody was at the event and actually somebody was able, first of all, a miracle, somebody was able to get close enough to Justin Trudeau to yell at him in Calgary, but somebody was, because it was by invite only, private event. If you tried to attend, you got charged with trespassing. And the media was aware that he was in Calgary, but only select media were tipped off, the ones that would write that he was mobbed by throngs of supporters, and not the actual local Calgary journalists who actually have a sense of what it's like in Calgary. So there were threats of people being charged with trespass if they tried to get a pancake from Justin Trudeau and the porch pirate George Chahal. So anyway, this is what being mobbed by throngs of supporters sounds like in Calgary.
Great to see you here. Great to see so many people out for stampede. Good to see so many happy people here. I'm glad to be here with my son Xavier as well. I know lots of you out here with families as well. This is a moment to gather and to celebrate being able to gather once again. Isn't it great to see everyone in person? Yeah! I know Stampede is an extraordinary time for people coming across the country, gathering to celebrate,
I don't know if you can hear that. That's good, everyone. I don't know if you can hear that at the very beginning, but there's like a lone voice in the wilderness screaming, "Traitor! Traitor!" And look at this throngs of supporters. Is everyone having like a diabetic event? They seem very low-key, like they're about to go into a coma.
This is about connecting, so I'm not going to spend too much time speaking, because, we've been working hard for you, but you've all been working hard as well. We've had a tough couple of years.
Look at those throngs of supporters. There's more journalists than actual people. That's literally all the Liberal voters in Calgary.
That's what it's all about. We're facing more challenges with the war in Ukraine.
I think that's good, Efron.
The global inflation crisis.
Sheila,
anyway,
what do you want to bet that some of those cowboys, air quotes, are actually Royal Canadian Mounted Henchmen, especially that guy in the foreground with the dark sunglasses that didn't look very celebratory that he was there. He was keeping his eye out for troublemakers, like the guy you mentioned at the beginning, yelling "traitor, traitor." But wow, what a sparse gathering indeed! And considering
he's the Prime Minister of Canada, Now you could, if Stephen Harper was at a pancake breakfast and he hasn't been Prime Minister in a very long time, the parking lot would be full, just absolutely full of people.
But Sheila, I got to be honest. Like, what was the point of him going there? The Liberals, I think, have written off all of Western Canada. They don't care. They don't care about getting seats there. They are concerned with the Laurentian elites. As you know, it does. You know, the system we have. It's not the amount of the popular vote that gets you elected. It's the number of seats you win, and they know the brand is repugnant in the West right now. So I'm surprised Justin Trudeau even made the trip in the first place.
I don't think anybody has told the emperor that he has no clothes. I think that's the problem here. Like, I don't think he realizes just how hated he is by everybody.
Yeah.
I think he's been told time and time again by his handlers and reinforced by the mainstream media that this is just a small fringe group of radicals that don't like you. Incidentally, they just keep popping up in cities all over the country. For a bunch of small fringe radicals from the West, they are sure turning up all over the place. And they look different every time they turn up to yell at you. But I think he's just been in a bubble for 2 years, and he doesn't get how much the public sentiment in the West, it's always been against him, but how it's turned in other parts of the country too.
You know, that's a fascinating point you make, Sheila. I just wonder, is he really that tone deaf, or is he delusional, or is he just, or maybe his visit is to go to spite Calgarians and Albertans. You know, he does have that mean streak about him. Sure. And, you know, the idea that I can come into unfriendly territory surrounded by security and RCMP henchmen and whatnot and do my little photo op. It's kind of like what his dad did out west back in the 70s in that infamous train trip across Canada where he gave Western Canadians the raised middle finger. Remember that? I see that as more of the same, to tell you the truth.
I'm going to go with clueless and stupid and tone deaf. But I will concede that his handlers probably know better, and that's where the malice comes from. I actually think Justin Trudeau is stupid and clueless, and he doesn't realize that people don't like him. And then, like, he probably has handlers saying, oh, that person was yelling traitor, as in you're so good at signing trade deals. And so they're cheering for you, Justin Trudeau. Like, he's that stupid, and the people around him, they're just as willing to lie to him, I think, as they are to the Canadian public. But we should move ahead because Alexa Lavoie was Jane on the spot last night when Trudeau, who tells me there's a climate emergency, jetted back across the country for, I think, dinner. And protesters found him. And again, I can't tell if he's clueless or if he's just thumbing it in the eye of people. But he's sitting out sort of in public where people can see him. And so people did see him. And then they told him what they thought of him. So let's go to Alexa's couple of questions here. Or first of all, I guess it's the protesters' questions. Then we'll move on to Alexa's really great question. Look at his dumb face.
Remember, Bill, you disturb our lives every day. Why
Tous les jours. Ça c'est vrai, tous les jours.
Why can't we disturb your lunch? You preach the whole wild world about freedoms. How come freedom fighters for the convoy are
Tamara, free Tamara. C'est une prisonnière de conscience. Prisonnière de conscience.
Of so many Canadians for the last 20 years.
Honte à vous. J'ai toujours voté libéral. Vous avez été mon premier ministre. Je vous ai voté tout le temps pour vous.
Wow, that's very
Honte à vous. Honte à vous.
Coward of a prime minister. The people want answers and he can't even answer. Coward what you are, prime minister.
You let him eat. He's just eating, okay?
So what?
Let
He's
him
serving
Honte à vous.
Who is that goof getting away with the camera there, Sheila?
Security.
Oh, okay. Well, they're on a sidewalk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, public place. There's no cause for that. These are not people who are armed. Well, unless you call impolite questions as a form of ammunition, I suppose. And I mean, the look on his face, it's like, you know, when you or I or family members, we go to enjoy a patio dinner and, you know, mosquitoes are coming by. It's like, ooh, you know, if only these bugs weren't here.
Just,
we'd have such...
He couldn't look more smug if he tried. Just people are telling you, like, there's a woman in jail for minor mischief charges on a breach of minor mischief charges release that amounts to 3 seconds and a photo. And he couldn't even be bothered to interrupt his fancy meal and his wine. He's just having his wine, carrying on. How annoying. The people want to talk to their rulers. Let's do something about it.
It's kind of like a Marie Antoinette moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
But now, is this the same event in which Alexa came by, Sheila?
Yes.
Okay.
Alexa was worried about what Justin Trudeau had on his plate, you see. Let's go to this.
Okay.
Mr. Trudeau, do you support what Mark Rutte is doing in Netherlands on the new regulation of the nitrogen and carbon emission? Do you support it? Are you going to do the same here in Canada? Are you willing to trade your beautiful meal tonight for bugs, Mr. Trudeau?
Okay, so I don't know if you heard it there, but okay, so first she asked a really great question about Mark Rutte, the Dutch Prime Minister. She asked, are you going to do the same to the farmers here? Because this is all part of CETA. This is a Canadian and European trade agreement, and it was written by the Liberals, so you know it's full of garbage. And that garbage includes gender quotas for exports. I don't know what that means.
No, what does that mean? Seriously.
All the exports, potential exports need to go through the gender-based analysis. So I don't know. Maybe we got to get the number of lady ranchers up a little bit higher. I again, this is liberal garbage. I don't know. None of it makes any sense to me. And I read these trade agreements all the time. And the second one is that it codifies the Paris climate change targets into the trade agreement. So everything has to be sort of put through these levels that are coming from the Paris climate change accord. And that includes, in this instance, nitrogen targets. And that's one of the reasons Mark Rutte is doing this, is because the Dutch just ratified that trade agreement, and Canada is the drafter of the trade agreement. So if the Dutch are doing it using this, well, surely this could come to a farm near us. And Justin Trudeau is not one to be outperformed by other progressive male leaders. When Biden does something, Justin Trudeau does something worse. When Macron does something, Justin Trudeau does something even more progressive. And Mark Rutte is doing this. Don't you think this is coming to a farm near you? I do.
Yeah, and I wonder what indeed was on his plate in that restaurant, Sheila. Was it just a leafy salad? Was it a crickets, which are federal?
No, that's for us.
Yeah,
that's for us to eat the crickets. You're not going to eat crickets.
Yeah,
we will.
It's for us to eat them and for us to fund them. That cricket farm in London, which I'll be visiting. By the way, they love taking our tax dollars, Aspire Food Group, but they don't like picking up the phone, returning emails, and so we're going to go there in person and try to find out what's going on. This, folks, if you haven't heard the story, it's a heavily subsidized cricket farm in London, Ontario, even though the head office, I understand, is in Austin, Texas. Gee, I wonder why they put the cricket farm in London. Oh, maybe because they couldn't get public money in Texas to make bugs.
Yeah.
Right?
Also, bugs are disease vectors. And so Governor Abbott probably was like, you know what, keep your parasites up there. We need to protect our beef.
Yeah, and by the way, folks, please, if you can, search it up. It's from about 4 days ago. Sheila Gunn-Reid did an excellent commentary about the dark side of bug eating. You must watch it. I can't even say I said that. Can't believe I said that, bug eating.
I think I called them like maggot merchants or something in the video.
So, but the point is, I bet you that kind of entree isn't on Justin Trudeau's plate, Sheila.
No, definitely not. Now, Alexa continues, not one to be deterred, because Justin Trudeau never answers her questions, as we learned from the federal leaders debate, but that doesn't stop her from asking them. So we've got another one from Alexa.
Monsieur Trudeau, quel autre accord avez-vous signé avec le World Economic Forum autre que le non-visitor traveler identity. Monsieur Trudeau, quel autre accord avez-vous signé avec le World Economic Forum, autre que le non-visitor traveler identity?
Okay, so what she's asking there is what other agreements have you signed with the World Economic Forum? Because maybe Justin Trudeau would prefer these questions be asked in his native language. What other agreements besides the known traveler's digital identity have you signed with the World Economic Forum? Justin Trudeau instead puts some food in his pie hole, which are definitely not crickets because he's using a knife.
Poor Alexa, you kind of get that feeling, Sheila. Sometimes you see it, somebody puts a toonie in a Coke machine and the pop doesn't come out and they actually start arguing with the Coke machine. I mean, that's basically Justin Trudeau is an inanimate object. He's not going to respond to anything. I'm sure he's hearing it, though. And I have a feeling he gets humiliated when he hears this kind of stuff, Sheila. I
think he's too stupid to have shame. I really do.
Then again, you might be right. Do you think he might be a sociopath, Sheila? I mean, I'm not a psychiatrist, but
I just think he's an idiot and really entitled. I think that's his pathology, is he's stupid and entitled. The reason he's prime minister is because he thinks that he was born to be prime minister. I'm not even sure he wants the job or likes the job. I'm sure he likes the perks. But he just feels that this is his destiny to rule over Canadians. And he's behaving like it when he is asked tough questions. Like, look at all the cops there. Look at all the protesters. And I think is this an Outremont? Do you, Efron, correct me? This is an Outremont.
Okay.
This is Outremont. So this is one of those places in Montreal that was really heavily cracked down upon during the lockdowns because there was a curfew and the religious Jews would try to go to synagogue on Friday night after the sun went down. And they were getting tickets constantly trying to go to synagogue by the likes of these cops right here guarding Justin Trudeau's wine dinner.
Yep. You're quite right, Sheila. And we covered that, didn't we? We showed in real time members of the Jewish faith in particular being targeted and ticketed for doing nothing than leaving one household and walking down the block to their own household. Evidently, this made them modern day typhoid Marys. And, it's funny how the mainstream media just turned a blind eye to that, isn't it?
Yeah, because they were perfectly fine with the crackdown on religious Jews, Christians here in Alberta. They were cheering for it.
Yeah.
Why couldn't those people just listen and worship the government like they do, like the media does, instead of having an obligation to a higher power? The media and the government really hate religious people because religious people answer to something higher than the government. And the media, that's all they do, is they answer to Justin Trudeau for their own survival.
I never thought of it that way. I think you're onto something. In Justin Trudeau's world, he is the god. And then that there's something above him that kind of rankles him, gets under his skin. I never thought of it that way. I think you might be onto something. Supposedly Justin Trudeau's a Roman Catholic. Is he a practicing Catholic, Sheila?
He can call himself whatever he wants, but he's not Catholic. I'll tell you that much. There are plenty of other... I don't know why he insists on calling himself Catholic, because he doesn't believe in some of the most important parts of our dogma, which is fine. You don't have to believe in those things, but then you're not a Catholic. Again, also fine. I have lots of friends from other denominations, obviously. Go join one of those. Go join the United Church, because I'm pretty sure that you would fit right in over there because of their stance on certain things like LGBTQ supremacy and abortion.
Yeah.
Those are things that are integral to Catholic dogma. We have certain teachings on those that we cannot deviate from. If you do deviate from them, you're not Catholic. Again, that's fine. There are a gazillion other denominations you can join, but you only insist on calling yourself Catholic so you can point to the other Catholics and say, look at those backwards bigots. And you should believe me credibly because I'm one of them.
I think you're right. He is a Catholic in name only, Sheila. Certainly not in practice. We have some other video here. This is a fellow we bumped into in Montreal from time to time. Libby, I believe, is the pronunciation of his name. And Libby got in a question to the PM. Let's check that out.
You preach the whole wild world about freedoms. How come freedom fighters for the convoy are still in jail? Why? Prime Minister, any answers? Live reporting live here. As you can see, the Prime Minister is behind of me. I had not the privilege, I would say the opposite, of asking the Prime Minister questions. And obviously, the Prime Minister is such a coward, and he won't answer for the Canadian people. No answers. Shame on the Prime Minister. As a proud Canadian Jew, I'm Libby Livian, reporting in Montreal. Thank you.
That's great. We already heard Libby's questions there anyway. But yeah, this is pretty galling to come to Outremont, this place that was so heavily discriminated against during the lockdown, and enjoy your open air dinner.
Yeah. And you know what? Here's the litmus test in terms of how dumb this Prime Minister is, Sheila. If I'm his handlers, I'm suggesting to him, Mr. Prime Minister, please, let's not ever have an open patio next to a public.
Let's go out the back door.
Yeah.
Let's go right now, go out the back door.
Yeah.
This is turning into a catastrophe, and you look like some out-of-touch smug extremist, which he is.
It very much reminded me of,
get it.
I think it was last summer, Sheila, when John Tory, the mayor of Toronto, and his wife Barbara went out to Tony Yorkville to have a patio dinner, and someone recognized them, and wow, did he let them have it. He was just absolutely spoiling their dinner. But hey, no harm, no foul. You're on a public sidewalk.
You know what? Normally I'm opposed to this kind of thing. Leave politicians alone when they're having dinner or whatever. But the left tells me this is fine.
Yep.
So welcome to the jungle. We've got fun and games. These people, these are the ones who are saying, you know what? Accost Ted Cruz and his wife while they're having a quiet dinner. Show up on their doorstep. Go to their house. They give out their home addresses and they protest on their lawns. These are the same people who kicked in Tucker Carlson's door while his wife was at home. That's one of the reasons he moved to the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
So when I see this, viscerally, I'm like, I don't like when I see politicians being accosted when they're doing something just like a normal person would do when they're out with their family, whatever. I don't like it. But these are not my rules. These are their rules. So if we're all going to play by them, great, we're going to win.
And Sheila, let's compare apples with apples. A former mayor 10 years ago, Rob Ford, entire news crews setting up outside his private residence on a 24/7 basis.
That little weirdo Daniel Dale, I think.
That's right.
In the bushes, peeking over the fence.
There is a at that house there is a vacant lot, and this weirdo Daniel Dale was I guess propping himself up on a rock or something to shoot video over the fence of Mayor Ford's backyard. And that was completely A-okay. But when it comes to a leftist mayor, a leftist politician, I think we're looking at something.
Take his kids. By the way, this is him trying to take his kids to school.
Yeah, right on his driveway.
Right on his driveway. He's trying to take his kids to school. They've got to run the gauntlet of these mainstream media psychopaths who don't think that there's anything wrong here. So now I don't have a lot of sympathy when they say, leave Justin Trudeau alone. He's just trying to have a quiet meal. Yeah, I know. But these are your rules. We're going to play by them now. How do you like it?
God, Sheila, I miss Rob. I miss that man.
Too.
He was a great man. And what the media did to him. I mean, you know, there are a lot of people that think that the stress he was put under is actually maybe what triggered the cancer. I know it's
Couldn't
not
have been good for him.
You know, we'll never know really, but it wasn't good for him. And I'll tell you, even if you hate Rob Ford, in the first 2 years of his 4-year administration, he got a lot of things done. It was all great for the city. This city is turned to hell under John Tory, the guy that wants to please everybody but pleases nobody in the process. I really miss that. See, and when I see that video, it breaks my heart, Sheila.
Makes me sad.
Yeah, it really does. I wish I never saw it. I'm trying to forget it.
Well, let's go back to Justin Trudeau. And I know we're trying to stay on time, but we're definitely not gonna. Sorry, everyone. Sorry, warning you right now. We're not gonna. But Justin Trudeau, taking this criticism to heart, obviously, this is what he does. He's out there taking selfies. He's got no time for the people who want answers from him, but just these people who want to take pictures with him. That's all he had time for. Just the glowing sycophants.
Yep. Yeah, that's Justin Trudeau classic, isn't it?
Some things never change. He'll always be a flighty, just an idiot. I think in other times they would call him a macaroni. Just an idiot obsessed with fashion and being liked, being extravagant, but nothing serious in his head.
You're right, Sheila. And look at the cops everywhere, eh?
Yeah. I'm happy though that none of the protesters got beaten up, because we know that these are among the worst cops in the entire country.
Oh, sister, are you preaching to the choir here? 100%. I mean, it's a hell of a horse race. It's a real Kentucky Derby when it comes to the worst police force in Canada. We have Ottawa.
Calgary.
We have Calgary. We have Peterborough. I'm still going to court, folks, because remember, I was shaking hands and laughing in public in Peterborough. I swear to God, that was in the officer's notes. But Montreal, they trumped them all. I think they're a big gang of thugs. I'm sure there might be some good cops there. I'm not going to tarnish everyone.
Oh, yeah.
But
No.
I think the culture there, Sheila, is putrid. I don't know how the residents of Montreal live day by day with that horrible police service. Look what they did to us last April. That's of 2021 when we went there in the houseboat, completely legal B&B, under capacity. And for 10 and a half hours, these thugs tried to search the houseboat without a warrant. They shopped it around to judges, and every judge was saying, "What, are you crazy? The grounds for searching is that they're journalists." What's interesting, Sheila, is that we offered them a more than generous compromise, if you recall. We said, okay, even without a warrant, if you want to go on the boat, fine. If it's 4, 5, 6 officers, a corresponding number of Rebel News employees will shadow you. Because quite frankly, I wouldn't put it past these guys to plant something on the boat.
Look what they're doing to you.
Oh, I know. Yep. That was, by the way, that officer's name, Officer Trudeau. Can you believe it?
Seems about right. It's a little on the nose.
No relation, spectacularly. But, that's literally the cops in Montreal taking the law into their own hands.
Shoving Jessica. Like, what the heck?
I know, with their butt. Look at this. Yep. The worst police force. And I think I've told this story before, Sheila. I always had a different impression of the Montreal Police Service because of a TV show, Just for Laughs Gags, which I adore. And the reason why I had this admiration for the cops is that they would allow their cruisers, their uniforms to be used by the comedians doing these pranks. And I used to think, wow, that would never, ever happen in Toronto. Absolutely not. I go, these guys must be so cool. And now I realize this was just really a public relations exercise, wasn't it? It's to make them look good on TV, but in reality, they are thugs.
Well, it's like when Justin Trudeau claims to be a feminist, but he's groping female journalists in the background.
Yeah,
it's the same side of stuff. It's like, look over here, look how nice we are. It's just cover for doing the bad things over there. I think we should, though, because we have 20 minutes left of the show. Efron or Olivia, I think we have an ad break before we move on to the next topic of the Dutch farmers.
Hey folks, check out the newest arrival to the Rebel News store. Yes, F is for Fidel and F is for father. I mean, could it be? Yes, half this photo, the colored half, is Justin Trudeau. The black and white half is a young Fidel Castro. Wait now, or is it vice versa? It's so confusing. I'm a huge Forensic Files fan. Wouldn't it be great if we could have a piece of Justin's DNA and a piece of Fidel's DNA and put the rumor to bed once and for all? But in the meantime, we'll just have to walk around wearing this shirt, hinting at a great Canadian conspiracy. Or is it? In any event, if you want to get this shirt, folks, go to the Rebel News store and check this out. Type in our new discount code, that's SUMMER, SUMMER, and if you buy 2 unisex t-shirts, you get an additional one for free. What a deal. Like I said, Justin Trudeau, Fidel Castro. As they used to say on the ABC detergent ads, can you tell the difference? I can't tell the difference.
Oh my God.
Sheila,
I
got to
so
tell you,
funny. The X-Files music. Every time I hear it, I just burst out laughing.
and Sheila, I don't know if it's true or not, but I'll tell you something. You look at the photos on that T-shirt, and the resemblance is uncanny. Could be a coincidence.
I think there's ideological paternity there, and
Yep.
that's all that matters.
And we know Margaret, she liked to bugger off from time to time. Sometimes it was Studio 54, where she would have a wardrobe malfunction, and sometimes it was Havana, right? So, no, don't talk about that. I'm just saying she liked to travel, that lady.
It's fine. You know, there are still very good members of Justin Trudeau's family who probably don't appreciate people talking about their mom that way.
What surname is she going by these days?
I don't know. Whatever one pays the bills. Okay. Let's move on to the Dutch farmers. We still have our team in Holland. Katie Davis-Court of Post Millennial is working alongside Louis Brackpool and Lincoln J. And they were yesterday, in fact, I believe, although I'm losing track of the days because I'm getting up in the middle of the night to meet with these guys and then during the day. But we've got a video from Louis. I'm not sure what this one is first. What's the first video from Louis? Let's just show it. We'll find out together. How's that? I like a mystery.
Hey guys, just want to give a quick shout out to everyone that's been watching our coverage here in the Netherlands, everyone that's been supporting us, donating so that we can continue to bring you real, honest journalism here on the ground. And I want to give a special shout out to Kian Simone, one of our many talented video editors at Rebel News. He's been absolutely smashing the videos that we've been producing here in the Netherlands. So shout out to you, Kian. Thank you so much.
And just to add, Rebel News have decided we are going to extend our stay in the Netherlands, so we're going to keep reporting on the Farmer Rebellion. So don't forget, farmerrebellion.com. Visit the website. You can catch up with all of our reports there and all of the live coverage we are doing via tweets, via package reports, live streams, etc., etc. farmerrebellion.com.
And
okay,
Sheila,
sorry, I'm just going to put Efren on the spot really quick. Can you just pull up the store? Because I want to show something really cool in there. But go ahead, David, while he's doing that.
Yes. The reason I believe, Sheila, we are extending our stay in the Netherlands is there is a rumor something big might be happening tomorrow.
Yes. So the farmers are keeping everything pretty tight-lipped, and they are, frankly, and good for them, spreading a bit of misinformation about their plans to keep the police and authorities flat-footed. But our team is pretty in tune with the convoy, and so far it seems as though the convoy trusts them, and the protesters trust them, so they are getting information that the public doesn't have. So you will see things from them that you won't see anywhere else.
And by the way, Sheila, I just wanted to say, I want to thank, in case anyone from the Netherlands is watching right now, as a matter of fact, in our Rebel News tips line, we have had, I would say more than a couple of dozen people from the Netherlands send us notes that basically say, hey, if your guys need a place to stay, if you need any kind of shuttling services, if you need a fixer, I volunteer my services. It's just unbelievable. So I've been sending those along to the lads just in case they do need it. But I want to thank everybody in the Netherlands for recognizing that we are getting the real story out there, not the mainstream media government narrative.
Now, I know you just sat through a store promo, but I thought it was interesting and fun because it was by David. But if you go back to rebelnewsstore.com, something new went in there. See this resistance shirt? That's amazing. I'm going to get that right after we get off air. It's got the truckers and the farmers, who seem to be the fiercest resistance to global tyranny. And so we put this shirt in there to honor them. So trucker in your life, farmer in your life, or fan of trucker or farmers, this is a great shirt for them. And as David said, if you use a promo code SUMMER, it's buy two, get one free.
Gotcha. And Sheila, I've heard rumors of firefighter solidarity to the farmers.
Oh, you know what? I haven't seen that. I've heard the rumors, but I haven't seen concrete evidence of that. But wouldn't that be great?
It would be. And to see this, become like a wall of dominoes, one group after another going up in solidarity of the farmers. And really, who, unless you're eating bugs, that is, who doesn't owe farmers something? This is the reason why we're alive. And the same goes for truckers, as Tucker Carlson said. All those products in a supermarket, how do you think it got there? It was a trucker. So the farmer grows it and the trucker brings it to us. Who could be against these groups?
Well, and it's just, I think Katie did a really great video the other day, because the truckers and farmers, they were worried that the city people weren't understanding them. So they went to Amsterdam and interviewed Amsterdammers, which I learned is what you call people who live in Amsterdam. Oh. And they said, even the people who were true believers in climate change said, I support the farmers.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good to hear, Sheila.
Yeah, speaking of Katie, we've got her interviewing a German citizen on the topic of the farmers, because the Germans are rising up too. And we could probably go straight into the Dutch and German citizens. They're exchanging flags in solidarity. And it is important to note that this first started fishing around in 2019. And there were, I was going to say explosive, but massive protests that stopped the nitrogen targets then. And so they've had some success with their protests. So that's why they continue to protest now. And they said they're kind of done negotiating. There's nothing to negotiate. It's no nitrogen targets. That's it. But Katie's got an interview with a German citizen here, if Efron, you wouldn't mind. Well, he's a colorful fellow. Fun to look at.
Why are you out here?
Well, I want to stand behind the farmers. That's why I'm not from a farmer family, and we see that the Dutch government is taking more and more away from our lives and is going towards a dictatorial system, and we have to draw a line in the sand. And these days the farmers do that. They take the initiative, and that's why I back them up, because if we don't draw a line in the sand now, they will continue taking more and more of our property, of our land, of our houses, and of our lives.
Prime Minister was here today. What would you say?
Well, I would advise him strongly to resign from his office, because I think he's totally incapable of doing it. And I also would say him stop lying. We have had so many examples of him just bluntly lying to us in the country. So, and I would say reinstate real democracy. That means democracy for the locals, not somewhere far away. The local people decide what's happening in their local community. think globally. What is your impact? What is your imprint on the world? And act locally. I want him to help to reinstate that. This happening here today will happen in your country tomorrow.
Yes, it's on
That's
a global
right.
scale.
Absolutely.
It's a global
absolutely.
issue.
And if somebody is denying that, no, he's living on under a stone. If you don't see that today, you have to wake up today.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with conspiracy. The facts are on the table that we are taken into a dystopian world that will only make a few people happy, and you.
So they have.
So.
Oh, go ahead, Sheila.
I was just going to say.
Okay.
Go.
I just couldn't help but notice they have a prime minister that can't govern and is a liar. They have a Justin Trudeau in office.
Also, a prime minister that goes to the Ukraine when there are big things happening back home, which takes us to our next clip of the Dutch PM, Mark Rutte. Having nothing going on back home, he's decided to go and defend democracy in Ukraine. Look at this. Today, I had the honor of meeting President Zelensky in Kiev. I also visited various places where the Russian army has left behind a horrific tale of death and destruction. I'm deeply shocked by what I witnessed today. Okay, fine. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm anti-invasion of Ukraine. I'm pro-Ukrainian sovereignty. But I feel like you got stuff happening at home that you probably should be dealing with instead of virtue signaling to this celebrity politician in Ukraine.
Yeah, I think this is what's called changing the channel in politics, Sheila.
Yeah.
We got a horrible domestic issue happening in the Netherlands, so let's talk about foreign policy and have a feel-good meetup, with the Ukrainian leader. Hopefully, getting everybody's minds off of those, pesky farmers and their trivial complaints. I think that's what we're seeing here, but it's not working.
Justin Trudeau literally just did this with the Nova Scotia mass casualty inquiry, where it came out that the Liberals and the RCMP commissioner were colluding, releasing information that could possibly damage the investigation, but they didn't care. That would have been collateral damage in pushing forward the Liberals' gun control agenda. That comes out, and so they say, oh, Roe v. Wade was overturned in the United States. Let's talk about that, as though it has anything to do with a country that has no restrictions on abortion whatsoever.
Yeah. Incredible.
Okay, let's move along to while conflict is breaking out in other places in Europe, the Dutch and the German citizens continue to heal old rifts. Look at this. That makes me happy. That makes me happy to see a Dutch farmer and a German farmer realizing that they're all in this together, not like the way the politicians say, but like in reality. And we saw a ton of this happening at the Coutts border, where on the other side of the border, we had Americans showing up at the border to support the Canadian truckers in their fight for freedom there.
Yeah, but I with one big difference, I would argue, Sheila, unless you count something like the War of 1812, in which we still weren't a nation, but people from the Netherlands and people from Germany exchanging flags, really a different vibe than, say, 80 years ago, wouldn't you say?
Well, and I think the Dutch famine is still in recent memory there. And so when you are saying, like, you're going to have to cut food production, it's going to devastate the industry, there are people there who have that as part of their collective memory. I freeze up. Oh, okay. Anyways, I'm unfrozen. But there's a collective sort of consciousness memory of the Dutch famine that happened during World War II.
Yep.
And so it's really nice to see the collaboration between Dutch farmers and German farmers here.
It is, and that's fantastic. And I do believe what that other gentleman said in the previous clip, Sheila, that if you don't think this is coming to a country near you and perhaps
100%.
the country you live in, then you've got another thing coming. It really is. And what you said earlier in the show, Justin Trudeau being out virtue signaled by a foreign government, he isn't going to take too lightly to that. So let's see what the Liberals conjure up on the nitrogen file.
And we've also got, so you've seen reasonable people talk about this issue and see the bigger picture. But then we have unreasonable people like this climate protester that Katie talked to, who says the Dutch government should seize the farmers' land. And as I said in the morning meeting, well, that's fine. I'll take your car and your dog, because the environmental movement tells me that those things are really, really bad for the environment. So I'll take those, please, if you want to take my land. Anyway, let's listen to this crazy lady.
Have to get rid of all those big farms to save the climate.
What do the farmers do for income? How do they get by? Where do they go? How
Yes,
can
but-
these are farmers who have had
Yeah.
farmland in their families for generations.
Yes. So?
And now you have people basically in suits coming to your door telling you no more. Why should this happen? Why should they just give it up?
So I worked as a nurse, and I was without a job because they had too many nurses. So do I get my bags and all my stuff and block the government? Or mistreating people, or threatening people because I'm losing my job?
Agenda 2030.
No, I'm not the Agenda 2022. No, it's rubbish. That's complot.
What do you mean it's rubbish?
It's complot theory. I don't like it. I'm not involved in that sort of things.
Do you agree with Agenda 2030? It's the sustainable development.
We need to have another world. Another world is
So you agree with
possible.
the New World Order then?
No.
What do you mean no? What do you no? Sorry. What do you mean no? What do you mean no? I don't understand.
Stop asking me to justify my logic.
She said we have too many big farms.
Yeah.
We have to get.
I can't. These people are insane. Like insane.
Not only insane, Sheila, but without empathy. When she was asked about the farms being seized, these are multi-generational farms. What did she say? I believe she said so.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she said, oh, I was laid off because they had too many nurses. What was I supposed to do? I think nurses are some of the people who strike the most on the planet.
Yeah.
Around the world. You people are always striking. And sometimes with good reason. But, I'm sorry, but you guys also protest the government.
Yeah.
Just to say, so we've got too many big farms. So you want food to be more expensive for people? Okay, that's fine. You might be able to afford that, but what about the poor? I guess they just do without. They eat the crickets, I guess.
But the hypocrisy too, Sheila. I mean, all these climate change crusaders, and they're saying that we're in a climate crisis, a climate emergency. I don't know what the term du jour is these days. And yet, always, I see them making use of the technology derived from the oil and gas sector. If you have a cell phone, for example, if you're driving a car, any kind of car, even a fully electric car, that lady looked like she was wearing a nylon made or polyester jacket. Where do you think that came from? A field? It is spectacular how they want everything to be shut down, except when it comes to the products that they depend on. If you tried to take away her cell phone, she'd be screaming bloody murder, let alone taking away somebody's farm.
Well, if you said to her, okay, well, I think your jacket's bad for the environment. Your cell phone's bad for the environment. I see she's already given up on her blow dryer. But if you said to her, all these things are bad for the environment, so I'm going to have that cop come over there and just take them from you. And then I'm going to look at you and say, so?
Yeah. Yeah. No skin off my ass. Right?
Yeah. Who cares? You
Yeah.
know what? We've got too many big cell phones or big clothes or whatever it is. Like, if we said that to her, she would flip her lid.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's somebody else, so she doesn't care. And when she says, we need a new planet, perfect. I want to put you on a spaceship and launch you onto it. Get out of here.
But you know what, Sheila? It's easy for her to say so, because right now she has a full belly. Right now she can go to a supermarket in the Netherlands and the shelves are fully stocked. But what happens when she goes and, there's only like 10% of the inventory on the shelves? She would have a conniption. You know?
But she's not bright enough to make the connection. So she won't say, I guess those nitrogen targets were a bad idea or stupid government, there will be never a moment of introspection saying, did I get this wrong? No, it's always, no, it's the farmers who are wrong.
Correct.
So she's going to go to the grocery store, see nothing on the shelves and say, those stupid, lazy farmers. And she's never going to make the connection. She's like that.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Anyway, we should, I think we have another ad break and then we'll do something fun because Jill Biden has views on Hispanic people that are odd. Yeah, and I think Marco Rubio had the best response on Twitter.
It's a good segue from farming because Jill Biden has evidently compared members of the Hispanic community to certain foodstuffs. Yeah, I'm not kidding, folks. So let's go to...
And she's married to a vegetable. So, you know... Anyway, let's hit the ad break and then we'll go to that.
Okay.
Adam Sos here for Rebel News. You know, our company is growing quickly and we'd actually like for your company to grow too. That's why this ad space that I'm speaking through right now is actually available for you to purchase. So instead of people listening to me, they could actually be learning about your company, learning about your business. If this interests you, if this is an opportunity you'd like to capitalize on, send us an email at ads@rebelnews.com.
Canada is not a dirty word. Canada is not a racist country. Canada is the true north, strong and free. This Canada Day, if you want to remind the Canadians who have forgotten what Canada is really about, go to rebelnewsstore.com and check out our new exclusive line for Canada Day, as well as our other gear for the patriots at home. You can even save when you use coupon code Canada25 on 2 items or more, and all purchases go to support our journalism here at Rebel News, which is completely independent from the government. Happy Canada Day.
Yeah, but you know what?
Okay, realize that's a bit of a dated ad. That's a little bit of a dated ad, but our Canada Day merch, it doesn't all say Canada Day. A lot of it is like it shows the flag, which, as you may know, is a racist symbol if you get your news from the mainstream media. So it's also like it's patriotism. So there are some specific Canada Day stuff, but there's also a lot of stuff for the Canada lover in your life.
And my favorite shirt, which I was wearing on July 1st, Happy Dominion Day. And because those of us of a certain age remember what the holiday was originally called before Pierre Trudeau vandalized it in 1982 on the last day Parliament was sitting, 7 members short of a caucus. But I digress. And by the way,
it's a hell of a grudge you're carrying.
Contrary to what our colleague Drea says, Canada is not a dirty word. I just want to bring up a point, and it received some attention yesterday in the Globe and Mail, and good for the Globe for, I guess,
they have their moments.
Having their moment, if you will. At Queen's Park, there is still a statue of Queen Elizabeth that is in the basement. They dare not put it on display. Sir John A. Macdonald is still entombed in a wooden box that looks like a coffin with a garbage bag over his head. Yeah, there you go. That's the miniature version. So to Premier Doug and his supposed conservative MPPs, it would seem that Canada and Canada's history is a dirty word. We dare not put those parts of our history on display. Again, I'm going to ask this probably till the day I die, Sheila. Doug, oh Doug, whatever happened to you?
Now, let's go to Jill Biden because
yes.
I can't even believe this woman. You know, just when you think she's the only one with a few brain cells in that family to rub together, Biden has fried his with meth use, and it's probably just boiling with syphilis, his brain. but Biden is in the throes of dementia. I've got nothing but pity for him. But then there's Jill. She's the remaining Biden who you think might have a couple wits left in her. I probably disagree with her on everything, but, you know, big burden this woman carries with her dementia-addled husband and her drug-addled son. But let's throw to her unique comments on race.
But we can't get those things on our own. Raul helped build this organization with the understanding that the diversity of this community, as distinct as the Bogotas of the Bronx as beautiful as the blossoms of Miami, and as unique as the breakfast tacos here in San Antonio, is your strength.
Wow. I love that, because the jokes it has spawned are the best. So Marco Rubio, I think, had the best one. Well, not the best one, but it's pretty good. Just kind of funny for a politician. I don't know if you could bring that up. His new profile pic on Twitter. I put it in the Slack chat. There's a couple of them there I just threw in. But imagine if a Republican had said, "You guys are just as unique as all the burritos in the world." Look at the Marco Rubio's new profile pic. And then there was another guy who said, "I'm not your breakfast taco." That was really funny.
Unbelievable.
And okay, so I don't know, maybe you could throw up the last one because it has a pop culture reference that I think David Menzies might appreciate. I don't know if you watch Family Guy, David.
From time to time, when they're on, they're good.
Yeah. So there's the housekeeper.
Oh, that's brilliant. You know,
Dorito Locos Taco, if I had to guess.
in fact, luckily, speaking of Taco Bell, Jill Biden didn't make mention of the old Taco Bell ad slogan. Do you remember that one, Sheila? Make a run for the border. Oh, because right now, if you look at that border under the Biden administration versus Trump, it is porous, to say the least.
I think one of her sons is going to have to make a run for the Mexican border to avoid prosecution for sex trafficking, actually.
I know we shouldn't laugh about it.
Story.
It's tragic, but
it's terrible.
And could you imagine?
He's a monster.
If Donald Trump had, equated Latinas to Mexican food, what the outrage would be in the mainstream media, but hey, it's Jill.
Could you imagine if one of Trump's kids behaved this way?
Oh,
Trump's kids, they're all working hard. The biggest criticism is that they were working in the administration. They were working, at least.
What Conrad Black said on Twitter the other day was absolutely spot on, Sheila, which is Hunter Biden's story is a tabloid writer's dream come true. I mean, this is the jackpot. It's got it's practically got all the 7 deadly sins there, and they're all looking the other way and turning the other cheek. It's astounding. If that was a Trump son, could you imagine, Sheila? It'd be on the front page every day.
Yeah. We should get to some of these chats because we stayed late.
Yep.
And I'm probably sure I'm missing a meeting about something. Rabid Roach gives us $1. Trudeau is happy that people are able to be gathering despite his best efforts. Yeah, no kidding. I'm happy we could all gather.
Yeah.
We told us we couldn't for 2 years. So the reason we couldn't was because of people like you. Judah Bursey gives us $1. Trudeau is a has-been. Love you guys. The problem is he's not. He's a still-been. And that's why we keep talking about him is he's still here. He won't go away.
I'll go a step further. I never was.
Yeah. We've got Shauna Marie G83, $20. 1 Timothy 4:3, the King James Version. Forbidden to marry and commanding to abstain from meats which God hath created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believed and know the truth. Shauna Marie G83, $5. In reference to my previous comment, persecution of the churches, arresting the pastors, the attack on farming, it's a sign of the times. Definitely is.
Yeah.
It 100% is. Thank you. Sorry for all my sniffing. I'm a little bit congested today. University gives us $1 and says Trudeau surely could have been seated away from the sidewalk. Exactly. He must have been looking for the CBC to show up. Either that, that's true. So he could have like a Romeo and Juliet moment with, I don't know, Rosie Barton, wherein he was Juliet. But also, I think he was just, either he's an idiot and thought that people would love him, or he was sticking it in people's faces. Like, I'm here, you can yell at me, but I don't care. I'm never going to respond to you because I'm up here and you're just peasants down there.
Yeah. And I've got a solid boyfriend by the name of Jagmeet Singh who's never going to let me down. Well, at least until 2025 when Jagmeet qualifies for a full pension.
We've got another one from Adam Ottawa, $1. Congratulations to David. You sure turned that brown upside down.
By the way, more on Patrick Brown to come, folks. That saga is not over yet, so stay tuned.
It'll never be over. It'll never be over. He's never going to go away. He's just going to keep coming back and coming back and coming back because he doesn't know when to quit. And like Justin Trudeau, he feels he's entitled to be in charge of something.
And Sheila, I got to tell you something. The one municipal election I'm going to be concentrating on in Canada come the fall is the city of Brampton. With all the baggage this guy has and how it's been exposed and how he's been proven to be a lying liar who can't do anything but lie, how is it this man could still get a critical mass of people to vote for him? Hopefully there's going to be a star candidate running against him come October. But right now I'm mystified, and he has until August 19th to declare if he's in the race or not for Mayor of Brampton. I think he's done as a federal Conservative leader candidate, and I think he'll cling on to the mayorship. But man, oh man, people of Brampton, don't disappoint me. You know what to do.
He's so exhausting. Like, just quit already.
And he,
Anyway.
and Sheila, he has quit in a way. He has the last 4 council meetings in Brampton, folks, have been
He's phoning it
canceled
in.
because his minion councillors that support him don't show up. The 5 who don't like him, they do show up, but they're one short of a quorum. So a council meeting would effectively be illegal. And why is Patrick Brown avoiding this? Well, on the agenda is stuff like forensic accounting motions, where they want to look at how Patrick Brown has run the city for the last 4 years, how he has hired people the last 4 years, and it's scandalous. So he's basically, if Brampton were a country, he's proroguing Parliament for months now. I mean, they don't even have a functioning city council, Sheila, because of Patrick Brown's ego. It's unbelievable.
I think if Brampton were a country, it would be Kazakhstan, just with the corruption and the like oligarchs and yeah. Anyway, Adam Ottawa gives us $1. The media party is really trying to prolong the COVID scare. From CTV yesterday, Ottawa Public Health recommends masks at large outdoor gatherings like Blues Fest. So they've got to smoke their dope at Blues Fest through their mask.
Unbelievable.
I mean, and Theresa Tam told people to like wear masks while fornicating. So, I mean, how would that be any crazier advice, I guess?
Ooh, there's a punchline just dangling over home plate, but I dare not take
Leave
a
it.
swing at.
Leave it. Let it come in as a strike. Shauna Marie G83 gives us $1. Ed says persecution of churches, not prosecution.
Yeah.
Cheryl Dawn V gives us $1. Hey, it's Taco Tuesday. You know what? Thank you for the dinner idea, by the way. But yes, it is Taco Tuesday. Jill Biden is going to see the real diversity of the Hispanic community today on Taco.
Is that still a thing, Taco Tuesday, and getting in for half price at the movies on Tuesday? Why is it always Tuesday, by the way?
Because it's the slowest day of the week, David.
Okay, I don't know.
In retail. Anyway, I don't know if people still do Taco Tuesday, but I needed a dinner idea, so that's very helpful. Trini Canadian gives us $1 and says, what happened to Juan? Have not seen any reports from him lately. He's working on one today. He's got a great one. I think he's doing streeters on the Biden family in Florida, so that'll be great. It'll be great.
You know, Juan should put up a quote, and the question would be this, Sheila. Is this a quotation taken from the Biden family or the Adams family?
I would say, what do you think about this thing that Donald Trump Jr. said? And people would like lose their minds. And now what if I told you that this was Hunter Biden?
Oh,
but
good one.
That wouldn't play as well in Florida as probably New York. You know what? I'm going to suggest that
Correct.
to Jeremy.
Correct.
Hurley's Girl gives us $20. Thank you for all you do, Rebel News. Well, thank you very much. That's awful generous of you.
Thank you.
DRB1313 gives us $25. Also very generous. Thank you very much. To paraphrase a famous U.S. president, if you don't vote for me, you ain't a breakfast taco. Very good. Very good. Very funny, you guys. I think that's it. We're all wrapped up. I have to do some serious sniffing, so I would like to get off air so that I don't bother people with my congestion right now.
Well, is it hay fever or something like that, Sheila, or is it a cold, or is it that C word I dare not mention?
Who knows? Who cares?
There you
It's
go.
all the same at the end.
And that's why she's the she-devil with a sword, folks. She just keeps on fighting. Well, Sheila, it was a great show. Thank you so much. And thank you to our team behind the board, Efren and Olivia, I think remotely. And thank you to all of you, especially those who contributed. Some nice big donations there. Really appreciate it. It's how we keep the equipment running here. There'll be 2 other Rebel News reporters here tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern. And until Sheila and I see you again on Thursday at 12 noon, as always, stay sane.
Well, the remains of 215 children have been found in a mass grave in Canada.
Many of you know that just over a year ago, the discovery of the remains of 215 children was found at the Kamloops Indian Residential School at the Kamloops-Shuswamic First Nation. But what if I were to show you that what I just said wasn't true, and that in fact, a year later, not a single body has been found?
This mass grave is a painful reminder of the genocide.
Canada's leaders aren't condemning the burning of churches. No, they're endorsing the burning of churches.
A juvenile rib bone that surfaced in the same area.